The Ukrainian armed forces completely destroyed the Russian army. The Ukrainian army put up an unprecedented fight against Russia's annexation of their country. The activities that took place today resulted in the deaths of 840 Russian soldiers. Ukraine's counterattacks are getting bigger. The Ukrainian operations are too strong for the Russian army to withstand. Russia has suffered losses of 17 artillery systems, 16 tanks, and 28 armored vehicles so far today. 8 Russian drones brought down in war zone. The Ukrainian army was able to make significant advancements, particularly in the region of Kherson. Soldiers from the Russian army started to evacuate from Kherson city. Breakingly, that Russian forces have departed from the checkpoints in the footage that has been distributed by Ukrainian press. Further operations show that Russian soldiers had deserted key strategic sites in the city of Kherson. The town hall in Kherson was pointed the most significant action. The Russian flag that had been flying atop the structure was torn down by Russian soldiers. The Russian army came to the conclusion that it could no longer triumph in this conflict. The success of the Ukrainian armed forces to ask, what is the key to their success? Because the Russian army is so inept, the Ukrainian military has been able to achieve such remarkable level of success. The Kremlin intended to achieve victory within a month. Putin intended to seize control of Kiev, which placed Zelensky under arrest. Ground reason for this is the Russian army did not put a lot of effort into their preparations. Russia's efforts to win the war were ultimately unsuccessful. As a result, it will continue for a longer period of time. This circumstance resulted in significant losses for Russia. This conflict had a significant impact on the economy of the Russian Federation. A significant number of Russian soldiers managed to escape. Putin also made the decision to mobilize the Russian military as a result of the excessive number. The newly enlisted soldiers in the Russian army were immediately deployed to the front lines without receiving any training. This circumstance contributed limited experience of the Russian armed forces. On battle, Russian soldiers who lacked the necessary training were victorious over their enemies' consideration of Russia's additional forces. Although sufficient arms and other military gear to deliver was betraying necessaries of soldiers. Because of this condition, the Russian army was faced with dozens of crises. The instability that engulfed the Russian military presented a window of opportunity for Ukraine. The Russian army's defeat paved the way for the Ukrainian army to mount a counterattack on all fronts. The use of HIMARS and Bayraktar drones in particular was crucial to the success of these operations. The Russian military was taken off in the action of these weaponry. Drones of the Bayraktar brand, manufactured in Turkey, include some of the most cutting-edge technology available. These drones, which are capable of taking off from extremely high altitudes, able to evade detection by the radars used by the Russian air defense system. It is able to keep track of every single movement made by the Russian troops thanks to its cutting-edge cameras. Drones are continually keeping an eye on the Russian army. These drones are armed with missiles that are extremely lethal. Tanks and other military vehicles are a specific target for the missiles carried by drones. The tanks of the Russian army were widely considered to be their greatest strength. Nevertheless, the Ukrainian drones were successful in destroying the Russian tanks. Since the beginning of the state, Russia has lost a combined total of 2,750 tanks. Drone strikes were responsible for the loss of a significant number of these tanks. In addition to that, these drones thwarted Russia's attempts to ship out military supplies. Arms and other forms of military hardware that are being transported by armored vehicles for the Russian army were destroyed. These vehicles were struck by missiles fired from drones. The people of Ukraine are extremely concerned about these drones made by the Bayraktar brand. The national anthem of Bayraktar, which written by Ukrainians, heard at all ceremonies. In addition, Ukraine celebrated its independence A model of Bayraktar was created out of flowers and displayed in a park in Kiev. In front of this model, Ukrainian folks took pictures to take home as a history. The use of drone technology is altering the dynamics of warfare in every region of the planet. What do you think the impact of the increasing use of drones in warfare will be? The HIMARS division was the other most important power within the Ukrainian army. Each of these vehicles is equipped with 6 missiles and has a range of approximately 80 kilometers. These missiles have a very powerful impact when they make contact with their targets. These missiles were instrumental in the Ukrainian army's destruction of a great number of Russian sites. Even just one HIMARS missile has the potential to completely level a structure. Using this technology, the Ukrainian army was successful in destroying dozens of Russian bases. Concerns have been raised by the Russian military regarding the fact that HIMARS have a range of 80 kilometers. Because of the incredible speed at which these vehicles can use, at 12 in the morning, the Ukrainian army is clandestinely moving HIMARS closer to the Russian army. When HIMARS detects that the Russian bases are less than 80 kilometers away, it fires its guided missiles. Immediately following this assault, the HIMARS will be moving to a new location. The HIMARS are characterized mostly by their lightning-fast speed. After making an attack, HIMARS are able to rapidly reposition themselves. Because of this, the Russian military will never be able to track them down and capture them. The United States provides the Ukrainian army with the HIMARS that it uses. When the United States of America uses this missile system against Russia, they are helping their worst adversary, which is Russia. What are your thoughts on the possibility of the United States sending HIMARS to Ukraine? The fact that NATO countries are backing the Ukrainian army gives it the best possible chance of success. The Ukrainian military is receiving some of the most cutting-edge weaponry from countries that are members of NATO. The Ukrainian military is equipped with some of the most cutting-edge weaponry found anywhere in the globe. But the Russian army is trying to fight with weapons that are relatively outdated and not very efficient. Wondering what your thoughts were on the historical fight put up by the Ukrainian army. Do you believe the Ukrainian army will be successful in evicting the Russian occupiers from their territory? What do you consider to be the greatest cutting-edge weapon that Ukraine possesses? What do you think? Share it with us. Follow us for more updates.